mass of birds, now he looked and saw 9 separate flocks with birds linked in pairs by chains of silver. At the head of each flock were 2 birds of different colours linked together with a chain of gold. At the head of all the birds, leading them, were 3 birds that flew alone. By the time darkness fell, and the birds vanished from the sky, the chase had taken them close by Brug na Boinne, the fairy dwelling of Luch, the god of light, and his brother Angus Og, the god of love. Connachar ordered his men to dismount from the chariots and sent Bricriu to find shelter. Bricriu wandered around for a while in the dark, but all he could find was a mean, tumble-down house. He was about to leave when the door was opened by an old couple. "Come in, and welcome," they said. Bricriu was unimpressed, but he entered anyway, and told the couple about the chase that had taken Connachar and his companions from Ewan-Macha. "Bring them here, and share our hospitality," they insisted. Bricriu thought there was little point, since they appeared to have nothing to eat, but since it was the only shelter he could find, he told Connachar. "Bring our own food, I think," he said. "All will not be eating well, if at all." But when they arrived, and unyoked the horses from the chariots, they found a house very different from Bricriu's description. Strange, thought Bricriu. At first, he thought they had come to a different clearing altogether. This house was large and well made, with lights blazing from every window. Connachar and his nobles were greeted by a tall young man dressed in glittering armour. He seemed to shine as he moved among them, offering them food and drink of every kind. When they were satisfied, Connachar turned to him. "Where is the mistress of the house to bid us welcome? Is she ill?" "You cannot see her tonight," replied their shining host. "She is in the pangs of childbirth." And later that night, the silence was split by the cry of a newly born baby. Connachar was the first to rise in the morning. He went to look for his host, but the man was nowhere to be found. Then, hearing the cry of a baby again, he followed it to the mother's room, and there, surrounded by her handmaids, was his sister, with a baby at her breast. "Deirdre!" he cried, and threw his arms around her and the baby. "Tell me everything. What enchantment had you under its spell?" And this is what Deirdre told him. At the wedding feast, feeling thirsty, she had a cup of wine brought to her. But just as I put it to my lips, a mayfly fell into the wine, and I swallowed it along with the wine. Then I was overcome by tiredness and fell asleep, she said, and all my handmaids with me, and had a dream. Luch appeared. "I was the mayfly in your wine, Deirdre. Come with your handmaids and follow me," he told me. What could I do? We found ourselves turned into the birds you saw, and followed him to Brug na Boinne, where you are now. Connachar gave a gasp. That was Luch? He looked at the baby. "And Luch was the father?" he said, smiling. Deirdre nodded. The news spread quickly to the men of Ulster. They all wanted to help look after the king's nephew, the son of a god. Each one offered his special gifts. Sencha was skillful in combat and a poet. Fergus was a craftsman and a warrior, and so on. Each thought only he would rear him best. The argument grew so heated that Connachar decreed that they must all return to Ewan-Macha, otherwise it would turn violent. "Moran the judge will decide," he decreed. So they left Brug na Boinne and headed north. Behind them, the fairy force disappeared into mist. When Bricriu turned to look, there was nothing but a grassy mound. In Ewan-Macha, Connachar and Deirdre, followed by the men of Ulster, crowded into the house of Moran.